All right, today we're jumping into some really powerful perspective-shifting ideas from Brianna Wiest's work, The Truth About Everything. It's a collection of essays that honestly challenges us to rethink our place in the universe and the real power we have to build our own reality. So Wiest kicks things off by asking us to just zoom all the way out, to think about the sheer overwhelming scale of the universe. It's kind of humbling, right? Almost terrifying to see yourself as just one tiny, tiny speck in all of that. But then, right when that feeling of being small sinks in, she hits you with this incredible paradox. Yeah, you're a speck, but you're also essential, necessary. She argues that without you, right here, right now, the world would literally be different. And this, right here, is the central puzzle we're going to unpack. So that brings us to our first big idea, this grand, miraculous paradox. How can you be both totally insignificant and absolutely essential at the exact same time? How do we even begin to wrap our heads around that?
Well, Wiest's philosophy is kind of like a compass for this journey. We're going to explore how we can find our purpose, how to start seeing our pain not as a roadblock but as a teacher, and maybe most importantly, how to use the power of our perspective to actually build the life we want.
So how do we actually do that? How do we navigate this paradox? That leads us straight into our second section, and it's all about empowerment. The core idea here is that you are the creator of your own existence. I mean, every single part of it. And the key to all this creative power is a concept she talks about a lot, volition. Now, this isn't magic. It's just the conscious, deliberate power you have to use your own will to shape your path. And this is where it gets really interesting, because it's a total flip from how we usually think about fate. A lot of us see fate as something that just happens to us, right? This path we can't change. But Wiest says no. Think of it like a journey from point A to point B. You're definitely going to get to point B, maybe that's fate, but your volition, that's how you travel. Do you take the scenic route? Do you speed down the highway? That experience is all up to you.
And that's so incredibly empowering, isn't it? The journey doesn't kick off with some big lightning strike. It starts with a simple, quiet decision inside you. The second you decide you want something to be different, you've already taken the most important step. You've just flipped the switch on your own volition.
Okay, so if volition is our power, then what's our main tool? Well, that's where our third section comes in. According to Wiest, the single most powerful tool you have to create your reality is your perspective.
Now, this is a pretty radical idea. She suggests that maybe there isn't one single objective truth out there. Your perspective is your truth. Think about it. What one person sees as a complete disaster, someone else with a different viewpoint sees as the most important lesson they ever learned. The event itself is just neutral. Our perspective is what paints it with meaning.
But here's the catch, right? So often we use this amazing tool against ourselves. Wiest uses this really powerful metaphor of a cage. We build these cages ourselves with our own thoughts because on some level we believe they'll keep us safe from getting hurt or from the unknown. And what are the bars of that cage made of? Well, they're forged from all our deepest fears, aren't they? The fear of being hurt again, that deep need for things to be safe and predictable, the ideas we've picked up from other people about who we're supposed to be, and just that general fear of what life might throw at us. We end up getting comfortable in there and kind of forget we're the one holding the key.
And that's why real freedom, real transformation, it doesn't usually come from changing our circumstances. It comes from changing our perspective. The truly miraculous moments in our lives are those aha moments that completely flip how we see ourselves and the world.
Of course, it's one thing to talk about perspective when everything's going great, but what happens when we're in real pain? And that brings us to our next really important section, how we can reframe suffering itself. So Wiest offers this profound reframe. Instead of seeing pain as a dead end or something we have to avoid at all costs, what if we saw it as a catalyst? She argues that our struggles are the very things that create cracks in our old ways of thinking, and it's through those cracks that new light and new understanding can finally get in.
I mean, how beautiful is this quote? It's such a gentle yet powerful image. Your heart isn't breaking, it's stretching. It's actually expanding its capacity to feel, to understand, maybe even to love more deeply. It's like the growing pains of your soul. So how do we actually do this in practice? Wiest gives us 3 steps.
First, just listen when it hurts. Don't run from it. The things that bother us the most are often pointing to a deeper truth we need to look at. Second, identify what you're tripping over. When you stumble, don't just jump back up. Take a second and look down to see what caused it. And finally, just remember, this is temporary. Like a storm, it will pass. So, at the end of the day, the pain isn't the point. It's just the journey through that crack in the ground. Yeah, it's uncomfortable, but it's also the very thing that allows a new river of light and life to flow through. So, when we learn to use our volition to create our reality and reframe our pain, we get to the last and maybe the most important piece of the puzzle, a totally new kind of happiness, one that's built on the art of acceptance. Wiest borrows this beautiful quote from Cheryl Strayed, and it's just perfect. See, acceptance isn't this big, loud celebration. It's not a finish line you cross. It's a quiet, personal moment of realization. It's when you finally stop fighting with reality and just let things be what they are. And when you get to that quiet room of acceptance, it completely changes what happiness even means. It's not about being joyful 24/7 or never being sad. For Wiest, happiness is an active state. It's about being so engaged and curious about your own life that you just have this desire to keep experiencing it with all its ups and all its downs. So what do people who have this kind of happiness know? Well, they get that everything is temporary, the good stuff and the bad stuff. They've been through the fire, so they can see the incredible beauty that grows from the ashes. And maybe most importantly, they understand that happiness isn't something that just happens to them. It's a choice they actively make to help themselves day after day. And that really brings it all home, doesn't it? True happiness isn't some destination you finally arrive at. It's not a prize you win at the end. It's the direct result of how you choose to show up for the journey of living itself. So I want to leave you with this one last thought to chew on. After all the striving and the planning and the worrying, what if the whole point isn't to figure it all out? What if the real purpose of life is simply to experience it fully, with your own volition, through your own perspective, and with a whole lot of acceptance?